fickle, so unpredictable, here on the SNL network.
Yes, so welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network for our first roundtable of 2024, covering the Jacob Elordi and Reneé Rapp episode of Saturday Night Live. My name is John from the SNN. So thrilled to be back with you live on this Monday night to talk through a interesting episode of SNL to kick off the new year. So, it's always fun to talk about what we get when we haven't had SNL for a long time. And it's been a while since we were with you for a Monday night roundtable. So happy to be back here tonight and introducing our guests that we have on the program tonight. First up, my man, Sean Grant is here. Sean, how are you?
I'm feeling good, John. Blessed. What's up, Andy? Look, guys, what's up, crowd? Everybody watching. Look, man. I got Rebecca out of here. Rebecca was supposed to be on the show. I got her out of there. I got her sick, and I poisoned Andy Haynes as well. So I don't know if John is if he got the poison yet, but pretty soon this show is going to be mine. I'm going to be the only one on here, and that's been my aim since day one. So thank you, John, for trusting me. You're a fool.
Yes, I am. We do have a couple of really good Sean Grant moments from the Best of 2023 podcast where he does try and eliminate us all one by one. So it's always great to have Sean on here to chop it up. And he did mention that Rebecca North was supposed to be joining us tonight. She is a little bit under the weather, so we don't have her, but I do have some thoughts from her that hopefully I can share with you throughout the night. And joining us as well is the bearded man, Andrew Haynes. Haynes, how are you?
I'm awesome. So glad to be back. So glad SNL is back, despite what we'll have to address this evening as far as the quality of this episode. Great holiday season. I hope everybody had a nice New Year's and such. I usually go to New York for Phish at Madison Square Garden. I didn't do that this year. And it's only one of my biggest regrets because they did something that I've been waiting for them to do since I was 15. I'm 39 now. So living with that, but I got my taxes done today. So all in all, surviving.
Okay, you threw a lot at me there. So what did Phish do that they haven't done in ever?
I cannot explain it to non-Phish people, but basically they performed like this kind of rock opera that the guitarist wrote in college, and we've been waiting for them to do it since like 1994, and they did it, and I wasn't there, and there's like so many memes about the people who like didn't go and weren't there, and they're all about me.
All right. This feels like a Jarrett's Room sketch, but yeah. But Haynes, that is possible that the episode quality we may have gotten this weekend is karma for you not going to the Phish concert. So thank you for that. But
I didn't know you were talking about a concert. I don't know who Phish is. I thought that Phish did something that they haven't done before. I thought it was like the moon did something like an eclipse or something.
Walked on land.
Event. Yeah. Like all these fish became sentient or something like that. I didn't know what happened. Oh,
yes,
okay.
Sean. Phish is a white person band.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna look them up, man. You guys have great taste. I trust you.
I appreciate that. Okay, well, let's get into this episode that we got here, episode 9 of season 49. I'm so used to episode 9 being the Christmas show, but yeah, we did have an abbreviated fall. So episode 9 is our first back half episode that we get for season 49, and the decision to book Jacob Elordi is what we're going to start with tonight. So Jacob Elordi is an Australian actor, pretty up and coming. The headlining pair of Jacob Elordi and Reneé Rapp really felt like, this was meant for the kids now. I sound really old, but this is meant for, a younger demographic who is really into Reneé Rapp, who's obviously from the new Mean Girls musical movie, and Jacob Elordi, who's really popular right now, was obviously in Euphoria. Saltburn is the movie that has been like all over the place. You got to see a clip of that in the monologue. So Jacob Elordi has been very popular, and this felt like a booking for, younger people. And I think that's what you got with some of these sketches, which was a lot of fan service for them. So, for me, I was excited for Jacob Elordi personally, because I seen him in a couple things I know he's like a really good character actor. SNL has done some great stuff with serious actors before to put them in a comedic setting. And I love it when we get a little bit of an unknown to start the new year, because I think it just gives everyone a clean slate. There's no expectations. It's not like, oh, Kate McKinnon's coming in, so then we know we're going to get, Whiskers Are We and some sketches that we've seen before. Like, really, nobody knew what we were going to get this weekend, maybe besides sketches that caught you up on things you may have missed since Christmas. So for me, I was excited to see Jacob Elordi, but Sean, I'd love to know from you, did you know of him before the episode, and were you excited that he was booked for the show?
No, I had no idea who he was. I went back and watched Saltburn, and then I got confused, and I watched it again, and I realized it wasn't my fault that I was confused. A lot of people were confused. It's a cool artsy movie, but yeah, I never watched Euphoria. But yeah, he was so I watched Saltburn, then I watched the episode, then I went back and tried to watch Saltburn again. And yeah, he was I had no expectations of him, but like you said, it's good to set the groundwork for the show to continue in the future. Who knows? He might have a long running with the show. He said he'd been acting for 7 years. That's why I love that actor studio sketch, which I don't think anybody picked that to talk about. But it seemed how old is he? Do you know, John?
I don't. Here, so Jacob Elordi, let's look this up right now.
Jacob
Elordi
is acting 7 years, and he's got all these
26. So he says since he was 19.
26.
Yeah.
That's still like that's very new to the game to be like in an Academy Award winning movie and on a hit series and all this type of stuff. And usually people are auditioning for 5 years before they get anything. So wow, this guy's something.
He mentioned this or maybe it was Bowen that mentioned this during the monologue, but he was in this film trilogy on Netflix called The Kissing Booth, which is like a high school movie series. So again, think he probably appealed to like younger audiences.
Okay.
So yeah, very interesting. Haynes, did you know of Jacob Elordi?
I had no idea who he was. I was going to say I still don't, but now I know a little bit more. It makes sense. Apparently, if he was on Euphoria, I didn't see Euphoria, but I knew that it was very popular. So that makes a little more sense to me. I had heard that. I think somebody told me that he was like in, like Hallmark style Netflix romance comedies or romance movies or something. So I, not the kind of stuff that I would usually be consuming. So yeah, didn't know who he was. Listen, obviously, we're booking people for eyeballs. So if this guy's getting a lot of eyeballs, that's great. I know this is not part of the process, but it would be cool if during booking they considered like, is this a person we can write a sketch for that will involve anything other than his looks or just more than like, it seemed like that's all we talked about all night.
I'm going to say, I don't think they knew that coming in. Like if they knew that, I doubt he gets booked.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think it's not part of the process. I'm just kind of making like a little tongue-in-cheek joke. It would have been nice, if we did knew that. Listen, we can call it what it is. It was not a great episode for me. Maybe it was for someone. We'll get into it tonight. But listen, I didn't know who he was. Like you said, clean slate. So just hoping for the best. I'm not going to blame him for everything that went wrong, although I do think there were a lot of lines he delivered that could have been delivered, much better, maybe by someone with better comic timing or something, because like it seemed like the line was fine, but he just wasn't there fully in the character. I hate to say that about a guy who, is obviously getting a lot of acting work. He's a better actor than I'll ever be, but I still felt like there was a lot of things that just missed. And that was kind of the story of the episode for me.
Yeah, look, definitely. I always like to start the conversation off with like, what were your thoughts coming into the episode? But now we can sort of talk about what we did see on screen. And the truth is like, he may be a really charming guy in person, but I think like over the camera, like through the screen, he had no riz. Like I didn't feel like there was anything there. Like I got no personality from him throughout the night. And yeah, like maybe we'll talk about a couple of the sketches where they tried to do a few things with him, but like this is the type of thing, because again, we're 956 episodes or 966 episodes into this series. There have been many hosts that have come through the doors of 8H that people are like, oh, he's a nice guy, like we had fun with him and he was game for anything. And then like it comes out a few years later of like, oh my God, it was so hard to write for that person. And like, I'm sorry, but I sort of feel like that's what this week was. Like, again, I don't want to advocate the blame for maybe some of the sketches that weren't written to their full potential, but like, to me, like this was a little rough, if I'm being honest. Sean, did you get that at all when you were watching this?
Yeah, I love that you guys are taking a stance, because if Cat Williams taught me anything, if we're trying to get this show to 100 million views, you got to take a stance. So initially, what I wrote down was pretty neutral to respond, because like I said, I didn't expect anything. And I did feel that he was just seemed to want to answer the call to whatever sketches they brought in front of him, and he seemed to do his best. But damn that, okay? I don't want to say sucks. I don't want to say that. But yeah, no, I can see what you guys are saying, in that a lot of what he was trying to do missed. And he seems like a nice guy, and that it was they seemed to have fun with him. But the writing was it was a little basic. I mean, but I just thought it was a little, ring rust. The staff's just coming back, and poor guy, I didn't really understand the Rachel McAdams, what happened there. Like if she, or what the significance, I don't know if they worked together.
No, so it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with Reneé Rapp, who plays Regina George in the new Mean Girls movie, and Rachel McAdams played Regina George in the original movie. So it was like, it was the universes colliding of the Regina George.
So I'm learning Phish, Mean Girls, Jacob Elordi, Saltburn.
Yes.
It's too much learning.
Rebecca, we needed you tonight for all of this.
But I don't know what the hell is going on. But I want to be controversial. So yeah, not very good. Jon, if y'all don't know this, Jon Schneider does not know how to count. He's guessing with all these stats. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And Andy Haynes has never.
Stop trying to kick me off the podcast. For sure.
I'm trying to just be interesting, like Cat Williams. I'm trying to.
No, for sure. And I love it. Like, but yeah. The truth is that, if you go back and you watch some of the best episodes of the series from different eras, you can look at an SNL host as like really like an MC that they build an episode around. Sometimes in other eras, they would make the episode feel a lot more themed around the type of host. And I just felt like if you're going to have like to go back to Saturday night and say like Jacob Elordi like MC'd the night, like, I don't think he did. Like, I really felt like he was nothing better than a average to below average featured player that you would traditionally get in an episode. Like, tell me a sketch that that you put Jacob Elordi in on Saturday night and he really just like elevated that sketch. I don't think we got any of those. So for me personally, probably one of the tougher episodes I've had to cover on the podcast since maybe the Jonathan Majors episode. Who again was somebody I was really at the time, like obviously a lot's come out about Jonathan Majors since then, but at the time, like everybody was really excited to get onto the show. At least that episode had like Taylor Swift performing a 10-minute song. So that was good. Here, I do think Reneé Rapp was not only fantastic as a performer on the show with Meg Thee Stallion, but also did a great job in one of the sketches as well. And maybe she didn't want to do it, but this was a tougher night for Jacob Elordi because Reneé Rapp was right there and would have been a great host of the show. Like everybody who watched it and all the comments were like, why didn't Reneé Rapp host Saturday Night Live on Saturday? And like, that might be the takeaway that I'm always going to remember from this episode was that I wish it was Reneé Rapp because I think she would have done a lot with the sketches as opposed to Jacob Elordi. Haynes, am I wrong?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, small sample size from Renee, obviously, but listen, I also didn't know that she was in the new Mean Girls. I figured Rachel McAdams was there as a Mean Girls related thing. I didn't know I didn't know Reneé Rapp was playing her character. So, now that I know that she's also, an actor, of course, some would say the same about Jacob Elordi. I don't know, small sample size, but listen, you're right. He was pretty clunky and awkward throughout the evening. Not trying to beat the guy up, but there's just a lot that just didn't land for me.
Yeah, look, and again, like we're not like I'm not involved or I don't speak to the person the talent department who books the show. So I really don't know if Reneé Rapp just didn't want to do it. But if this was a choice of Saturday Night Live to book Jacob Elordi as opposed to Reneé Rapp for this episode, I do think that was a big mistake. And, again, the other factor here is we started off the season with 5 men hosting the show. We also got Adam Driver. And then the only 2 women who've hosted the show so far this season have been Emma Stone and Kate McKinnon. We're going to get Dakota Johnson next week. But again, like another reason to put a woman as the host of the show here. Like I would have definitely been down for that. So anyways, like I said my piece on it. I think Jacob Elordi, obviously he's only 26. He could go off and do some really great things. He could end up, having a lot of charisma. I mean, like Robert De Niro is known as having like no charisma whatsoever. He's like one of the worst talk show guests ever. A lot of people have said, but people, he ends up having fun when he's on the show, at least as a host of Saturday Night Live. He's done it, I think, 3 times. So it's an interesting example there. If you're able to bring that out of somebody, I just don't know that they did that with Jacob Elordi. So I doubt we will see him again on the show. Anyways, I do think that there was some stuff here that was really interesting to talk about. So, let's get into some of the moments from the night that we think were really interesting. And we'll start off with our cold open that we had this week. So this was, no host in this one. We just had Chloe Fineman, who played Alina Habba, and James Austin Johnson, who comes out to play President or ex-President Donald Trump and potentially future president again, Donald Trump, where he's going to do his thing. So I guess, fascinating here. We're starting off, 2024. We know that the election cycle is really ramping up. We just had the start of the Iowa caucuses, I believe. And, candidates are dropping out. It's really looking like a Trump versus Biden thing all over again. And SNL could basically do whatever they want in the cold open. And they decided we're just going to start off the year with a JJ as Trump direct to camera doing his spiel. Sean, what did you think of this one?
You know what? I'm a big man. I'm big enough to admit when I'm wrong, John. Okay. And I remember the last time I was on here, I was talking about the lack of JJ, and you were saying that it's because they're saving him for a lot of, I believe you said this. You're looking at me like you might not have said it, but they're saving him for a lot of sketches like this. Yeah, like where he's just one-on-one doing Trump. No, and that's why Mikey Day's Biden, why they were working in Mikey Day's Biden before. Remember, we were wondering, you were speculating on why they were doing that to set up for the debates and stuff like that. So I was wrong. I mean, what was I? Was I really wrong? No, you actually said later in the year. I don't think you expected them to start going into it this early. So maybe we were both right. Maybe I'm never wrong. How about that?
Well, I don't know that SNL last time we were on the show expected that there would be like no other Republican candidates. I know that I think DeSantis was still in the race on Saturday night. He dropped out on Sunday, if I get the timeline right. And then Nikki Haley's like still in there. And there might be like a couple others with like, no chance whatsoever left. But really, like the race is narrowed. And I don't know that they thought that on January 22nd with, I guess 9 months to go until this thing is over, that Trump would be such a large percentage of the political discourse right now. So it's almost like, do they default to this or should they have gone in a different direction? Haynes, what do you think?
Oh my God. It is January 22nd. It's my grandfather's birthday and I forgot to call him.
Hey, Grandpa!
Oh my God. John. Well, you reminded me. He's surely not watching. But
is he going to sleep soon? Do you want to take a? Do you want to?
Probably. I hope he's still awake when we're done with this. Oh my goodness.
Do you want to take a break and call him?
No. I'm going to try and call him afterwards. God, I'm an idiot.
Okay.
Man, I feel so bad. All right, what did you ask me? My take on the
conversation wasn't interesting enough. Yes, I would love to know what you thought of our cold open that we had this week.
Listen, I know that we're going to be dealing with Trump all year, of course. So like, just be prepared for, lots of cold opens featuring Donald Trump. Listen, JAJ's impression is incredible. I laugh at it every time, so I'm totally cool with it. I liked that it was pretty short and sweet. I do think it could have opened with some stronger lines. And listen, Chloe did really great with her character. I thought she was just very alive in that character. They could have given her some stronger lines. I just think that, I like it when a sketch, especially like that, a cold open, just starts with a real quick, good laugh. If you can get me to that first laugh, the sooner, the better. I don't think I got to a line that was, slightly better than average until I'm standing weirder than ever. I thought that was pretty. Thought that was pretty funny. And then we had some more good ones after that. But that was 90 seconds in, and. So listen, and there were some great lines. I loved, he's talking about what dark energy it was, him dancing with Epstein, and he says, "Very Twin Peaks." I thought that was hilarious. I don't know if everyone's seen Twin Peaks, but that was spot on. Just a great line. So listen, short and sweet, and like I always like a J impression. So as far as political cold opens go, I mean, it was solid. I'll take it.
In a way, it's very junk food-esque. Like, if you like seeing JJ do a killer job as Trump, like, this is perfect for you. I did find it interesting that, so SNL, in my opinion, did something different with this Trump cold open than they've done with all of the other ones in recent times, which is JJ as Trump usually enters a cold open late. Whether it's as, coming in and then, we have the Easter thing where they're all freezing in the background, or the Republican candidates where they're freezing in the background. So that's one option that they've done. The second option is we get some sort of, news broadcast where they're interviewing different people, and we get segment 1, segment 2, and then segment 3, Trump comes in and sort of just like comes, to slam dunk at the end. This time they go directly to the courthouse where he's, going against the gag order, and he's just talking directly to the media. So it's sort of, there's no, like, it's just a very straight line to get from point A to point B for this cold open to be over, which is it's fine, but I felt like there wasn't a lot to this besides that. Mm-hmm. And I guess I just wonder, I mean, I think we got, I'm trying to think if this was last year or the year before, where we got the Biden Spider-Man thing. It must have been 2 years ago. And it seems like they've tended over the last few years to start off their cold opens from the new year with just like a straightforward, like, presidential candidate or president direct to camera. And I do wish they would do more with this. This isn't a knock on JJ or the writing itself, but I really wish they would have JJ as Trump interacting with people, because I think, like, that is something that is really crushed in other eras of the show, where you have a character who now we have established with the audience that JJ is going to, take the Donald Trump character and go on complete non sequiturs in a way that he would in real life. So we know what we're going to get when we see him on screen. And I would love to just see him interact with people that we wouldn't normally see him interact with, whether that is a Nikki Haley type or a Biden or other figures. It doesn't have to be something that is completely based on what happened last weekend. We can set up a scene and develop it in a way that's creative. I don't think that's asking too much here.
I don't think so either. And I think it's a great idea. I fully echo everything you say. I think that is a place where we could really see that JJ Trump character thrive. As you said, it's worked, so many other ways in the past. It's something we've seen, done with, previous versions of presidents on the show. So yeah, not sure why they haven't taken that step. But now that you've said it, and we know that there's some ears around the show who pay attention to this broadcast, yeah, it would be awesome to see that.
Making things happen, John. Yeah.
I like to make a comparison that I know a lot of people have made in real life, but maybe not so much, an SNL comparison, which is Dan Aykroyd's Richard Nixon impression was one that he did back in the 70s. This is obviously post Watergate, where, Nixon's like writing a book and they're, doing interviews. He's doing that, David Frost interview. And like, that was, everything was like the talk about Nixon in the late 70s. And, Aykroyd developed this impression of Nixon, and I felt like the writing at the time, maybe it was Franken and Davis and Jim Downey, like they were able to take these things of a caricature of a president that was really despised, and create scenes around them that were really creative. like even something as simple, and I recommend, I believe this one is up on YouTube, you can go check it out, where Nixon just wrote his like tell-all book, and then he, nobody's buying it, so he tells people, if you don't like me, at least buy the book, and then you can kick the book just to get back at me, so they at least get sales. Like, they had fun with stuff like that, so they stretched out these things. And like I said, I think that there's something to mine there. I always, whenever I do talk to somebody who works at the show, sometimes I'll ask the question, I'll say, do you ever go back and watch old episodes of Saturday Night Live? Do you ever go back and watch old eras? Because I do think that there's inspiration to be gained by some of the greats of the past that have done things with characters that are similar. So that's my point on that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've been reading, because I know we probably won't be able to cover this. I've been reading Keenan's book. When I say reading, listening to it on Audible. Very safe, very safe. Keenan's not getting to no nitty gritty. I was expecting a little more behind the scenes stuff, man. In fact, I'm gonna have to.
He's still on the show though, Sean.
Oh yeah, but then he shouldn't write the book. I mean, there's people that he can talk about that aren't on the show. Right? I mean, and I've actually never gotten to the bottom of the whole him and Chris Redd thing. I'm not trying to be messy. This is not the Cat Williams space, okay? But if you know anything, John, tell me. Just
I know. I do know a lot, but I can't talk about it right now. So
my fiance did get me a autographed copy of the Keenan book. Pretty cool. So, yeah, haven't finished it yet or started it, but I've got it.
Maybe let's have Keenan write his second book, maybe when post SNL, and we'll see what comes out there that we're able to talk about. But yeah, very interesting stuff. It is always interesting to hear what is really going on behind the scenes of Saturday Night Live. Most of the time, we will find that out 5 or 10 years after these people are off the show.
Somebody in the comments, write. I'll read it. I need John and Ananias, Christine, Casey, anybody. Write something.
Luke, John's the man of the people.
Demi, write something, and I'll say it.
Okay, let's talk about some other moments from the night that we really want to get into. So, Sean, which sketch would you like to talk about tonight?
Yes, thank you, John. Well, real quick, what did you guys think of the monologue? Because I've never seen. Maybe I'm just overlooking another one. I've seen the question and answer, the Q&A, never with regular audience members. I think the first 2 or 3 were from regular ass people.
They weren't actual audience members.
They were audience members?
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't.
Who
it was
those
writers.
Those are writers?
Yeah, so that was Alex English. You don't read the notes that I send you, do you?
But so sorry. they came off like regular people, like the second, like they were.
Sean, if I recorded the notes on Audible, would you?
Yes.
Take them
now
in?
we're talking. All right, I'll use a credit for that. This guy is such a nerd, guys. He sends notes.
Listen,
Saturday.
Sean. This will really blow your mind. Alex English and then Rosebud Baker, the lady.
Names. Yeah.
She's actually married to a stand-up comedian named Andy Haynes. How about them apples?
Yeah.
You know Andy Haynes, the stand-up?
I do know a guy named Andy Haynes. What the hell? That's crazy. Yeah. That might be why I'm calling you Andy Haynes without permission. Because I know Andy Haynes, but your name is Andy, but you're allowing it. Thank you, bro. Do you not? I give people nicknames without their permission. I'm the one. John used to go by Jonathan, and now,
when did I do that?
No, you didn't. No. I just made that up. I made it up.
Yes,
but no,
my parents.
I did. I do know. I didn't recognize Rose. I know the name Rosebud Baker. I didn't know that's who that was. And that first guy was okay. My bad. I was like, "Why are they honestly, real questions?"
So it's that's funny. It's not your fault because that is like again a shameless plug, but that's like the reason to sort of come to these podcasts and delve in deeper, because you may not know who these people are, but obviously they're very consequential in getting a lot of these sketches on air, and I do think that learning about the writers, learning about writing tendencies that you see, you start to look at the sketches on SNL and be like, okay, that is a Alex English type sketch or a Rosebud Baker type sketch. And then when they get to come onto camera, that is fantastic for them and a great reward for, a great job that they do. And it really is something that goes back all the way to the beginnings of the show where they're, back in the old days of SNL, they didn't have extras. on the show.
Right,
They actually
right.
use the writers as extras in sketches. So at least for the
Yeah.
first couple seasons. And so you really got to know everybody who worked at Saturday Night Live. And I always loved that. So did that answer your question, Sean, about the monologue?
Yes, absolutely. My bad. I didn't know that. Thank you for clearing it up as well, Casey. I didn't know that these were this is a long-standing thing. But they you know, so there was some line fumbling and stuff. Plus, without the clapping, it makes you think that it's a regular person. But so it was funny when that was called out by I think it was Chloe. Right when
Sarah.
they didn't clap Sarah. I'm sorry, Sarah. They didn't clap for Sarah, and then it was called back by Bowen when he got a better clap than she did. So that's funny.
Yeah,
but
so I heard in Dress that Sarah got a huge applause when she was up there, and they did the joke in reverse, which was like, you know, Bowen came on later and was like, oh, less applause than Sarah, but you know, on live he did like more applause than Sarah because
man, he's so good. Love that guy. I mean, that doesn't seem like much, but that's really cool.
It's a joke like for them, you know, or only people who were at Dress and then watch the live show. So I think that that's the type of thing. That's very fun. But yeah, okay. Sean, tell us what sketch you want to talk about tonight.
Yes, I want to talk about the bowling pins. It's called Bowling Pins. And yeah, it's the dramatic bowling sketch. They're in the dramatic bowling animator, right? And yeah, I love the game was so clear. We've all seen those things where, you know, they're making fun of you for getting turkeys or whatever it is, gutter balls, things like that. But the game I love how they played the game and then got off game at the right times. You know, I love that the game initially was, you know, messing with the bowling vernacular, right? Using those words. How can we say strike? And then once we hit the strike one, we're like, okay, we kind of know this game. Are they just going to keep beating it? And then they were saying things that non sequiturs until they landed on the word, right? That you're like, well, how'd they get to the word? And then at some point they started making up what was one things that are not words. I wish I could read my own I need to put my notes on Audible.
So here, let me play a couple for the audience, Sean, and then we'll go back to the rest of your thoughts. But here's a couple that I thought were really good that we pulled that sort of elevated this sketch as it kept going.
Johnny, your father has something he wants to tell you.
What's wrong, guys?
Son, your mother and I are getting a divorce.
Split.
Yeah, see, that's great. That's on game of, okay, we're landing on bowling words, but then the spare tire one where you're thinking they're going to say this and then he stepped on the line and this and that, things that you wouldn't have the bowling animator do. One thing I did say, and I love that Heidi is such a serious, she doesn't break, right? I've never seen her break. She's an amazing actress. But for moments like when the ball bounced and it was still a strike, I love to see some sort of breakage there, like when there's a little charisma, you know, maybe not too much, maybe no Jimmy Fallon stuff, but stuff to just show that this is a live aspect of obviously the ball's not supposed to bounce. That's so crazy. And then they were trying to have a game with the two of them where she's better than him, but that wasn't landing. Perhaps for the reasons that you were saying earlier, maybe he wasn't landing. His timing was a little off in that sketch, or maybe it just wasn't a necessary game to go along with the animation game that we were already enjoying. But I enjoyed it very much. It really mixed it up, and the button was amazing. So yeah, I really enjoyed Bowling Pins.
Yeah, this was my, by far my favorite thing of the night. So if you didn't catch our show on Saturday, Stephen Castillo is a writer who left the show halfway through season 47. He has since returned to the show. He came back for the Timothy Chalamet episode to reprise Tiny Horse and do Giant Horse. And then I guess he decided to come back to the show on a more permanent basis. And this is his first sketch back. He did this one with Dan Bula and PDD. And yeah, this was a fantastic sketch. I really thought, I was like, if it wasn't for this sketch, I really felt like the episode wouldn't have had a lot, like too much to talk about. Because for me, I felt like what was so cool about this sketch was that it was an ensemble sketch where you got a ton of cast members in it. But at no point was I like thinking about who we haven't seen yet on screen, because the jokes were so good. typically when we get ensemble sketches where people are just coming in one by one, I'm like thinking to myself, okay, we haven't seen Marcelo yet, so what's going to be his thing? But I didn't get that this time because I was like, oh, it was all about the bowling jokes, the puns with the words, the scenes that they're developing. And they got so ridiculous and silly that this was just pure fun for me. So Haynes, I loved every minute of it. Did you enjoy this one as much as I did?
I did. This was easily like one of the two best sketches of the night for me. It was very fun. I loved Sarah Sherman's like Philly, Baltimore area accent when she came on as the FBI director. And I just love this type of joke writing. I don't know if there is a good name for it, but I love getting to a word from a place that is different than the way like we're normally going to use it just to get to that word. It's something they used to do on Comedy Bang Bang with Scott Aukerman all the time. Like every episode he'd be doing stuff like, oh, my cell phone's doing an impression of the worst wedding ever. No reception. Like that kind of stuff, like finding a way to get to that place. It reminds me like Seth Meyers.
I was gonna say, it reminds me a little bit of like Whose Line Is It Anyway? I was gonna say, where it's like it's that type of vibe where they're so smart with the way that they eventually get to the thing that they're trying to get to.
Yes, exactly. Another one that I loved was like he did something and someone was like, "Oh my God, why'd you do that?" And he's like, "I had no choice. I was like a pregnant woman in Texas." Like I love getting to that place. Seth Meyers, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give too many more examples, but Seth Meyers was doing a thing like covering like Democratic debates one time, and he's like taking snips of people, and there's like, what did Bernie Sanders say when the cops busted him for skateboarding? This is not radical. So it's like I love those types of jokes and that way of like thinking, trying to get backwards like to a place. So this sketch was just like, it was awesome. I just love that type of write. I just think it's a really fun way to write. And so yeah, it was, to me, it was a top 2 sketch of the night. There's one that I think was a little bit shorter and maybe easier to get away with writing that I'll talk about that I'll talk about when it's my turn, but I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that other sketch. But yeah, I mean, to your point, this type of line I think really, really works when you walk backwards into a joke like this. This one here.
Because I don't want to find you one day with a needle in your arm, slumped over, living in the goddamn gutter.
And that's the thing. It's maybe something on the first watch you don't realize, but James Austin Johnson doing those voiceovers in a tone that is so different really works for the sketch. Like I would imagine that Castillo is probably sitting down producing the sketch and he's telling, the like for the voiceovers and the recordings of when they're doing this, he's like, okay, play the music and then stop the music like the second before JJ says like gutter. Because that way you get like the emphasis of like going from a like really sad and like dark and creepy tone to like this like happy bowling thing. And I think it's the dichotomy of the emotions in those lines that really like creates something that we don't see throughout the rest of the night, which is layers to the sketch. So I think like that is why this was special and felt elevated to me compared to everything else. Also just thought this one here was very funny when JAJ said this. Stuck ball! Stuck ball.
Yeah, well. They don't do that. And I watch those graphics. They never make fun of that. But if you pay attention sometimes, you'll see like cowboys shooting the pins and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, but nobody ever pays attention. You just kind of glance at that thing. So it's a cool little slice of life type of sketch that they expanded into this wonderful game. And it didn't showcase the host very much, but yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, and like this is the cool thing about this type of sketch, which is this sketch could have happened any week of the year. right? Like it didn't necessarily have to happen because it's the start of 2024 and we're talking about something that's happening outside of the show and we need to make reference to it. Rebecca texted me her thoughts for the podcast just to get a couple things in here. And she did mention that it at least been going around on Twitter that people were talking about some of these bowling animations at a certain point. But whether it came from, people talking about it or Stephen Castillo, Dan Buller, or PDD ended up going bowling and noticing something and then deciding to, stretch it out into a sketch. Either way, that doesn't matter to me. I think that this was creative enough that like nobody walked into the show on Saturday night expecting there to be a bowling pin sketch. And that was what was really fun about it. So this is the one that I'm excited to send to people, this week and be like, you have to check this one out. So great pick, Sean.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Haynes, you seem to feel like there was another sketch in this episode that rivaled this one, and I cannot wait to hear which one it is. So go ahead.
Okay, so listen, I'll even say, start to finish, like as a whole piece, yeah, the bowling pins is probably the best of the night. But one that that gave me a lot of laughs. I just enjoyed it. It was pretty short and sweet. Did have kind of a drop off ending, but it didn't feel funky to me. It was, listen, Bowen shined all night. I'll just tell you ahead of time, he'll be my pick for MVP when we talk about that. Like Bowen was crushing it, as he always does. And I just really liked Garrett from Hinge. I thought Garrett from Hinge was a very funny sketch. Obviously, the ex, lover showing up to break up or object to a wedding is, an age-old premise that has been used a billion times, but this was, a new and fun take on it. I thought it had a lot of great lines. And from the very beginning, like as soon as his character entered, when he popped in, like, objection, I guess, this, like, the things that whatever he said in those first few lines, just were really funny to me. I thought even though this didn't I don't think it got a big laugh, but I thought the line where he was like, or where Chloe says, you told me that I had Hufflepuff vibes and a Slytherin ass, and then he's like, that's a huge compliment. Like that didn't get a big laugh. It got a big laugh from me. I love that, his best friend was another lady in the Stewie Griffin shirt, the old lady in the Stewie Griffin shirt. I loved the line, like, stop standing like your shirt, and he's sitting there sticking out his finger. And Bowen carried the sketch. Everything was from Bowen that was funny about this, really. But I loved actually, I'm on Raya now. And yeah, I matched with the Rachel Dolezal, which I thought was an amazing line. Just really funny. And it's funny, they start, like, listen, he does that's a pretty good Stewie impression. And it was funny the way, you kind of see, it's kind of predictable that Jacob Elordi's character is gonna kind of tie in and do that as well. But JAJ jumping in with the Cleveland was pretty funny. And to what you were saying about, JAJ doing the voiceover work a minute ago, it's just kind of funny and weird almost to see him, like, not doing the Trump accent sometimes in these sketches. Like, I'm just tying him so much to Trump. It's just kind of almost weird to hear him use a normal voice. But listen, all the great lines from Bowen about, she's given her man lip on his wedding day. And just like, I just thought that Bowen had a really great, he obviously carried the sketch, but I think he made it a good sketch. Just the way that he delivered all his lines, really fast-paced turn and how quickly the guys start to get on the same page, and then kind of a cutoff ending. But to me, it totally worked in the 10-1 spot, and all because of Bowen, who I thought had a really great night.
Yeah, I think Bowen had a great night too. 7 sketches from the night. He could totally understand, like, why he might get your MVP vote, and I'm happy for him that he got, a character on. This is a character, Garrett from Hinge, that they tried to bring back earlier in the season, but it got cut. They tried to do a Garrett from Facebook Marketplace sketch, so they ended up bringing this back here and a little bit of a different version of this second iteration of the character. And I wish I could be with you on this, Haynes, because I'm really trying to like I love to hear the dissenting opinion and like vibe with you on these characters that just don't do it for me as much. But I was really trying to figure out on Saturday night like what Garrett from Hinge's like thing is. And I feel like they haven't like fully fleshed out like the character in a way. Like, I think he has personality traits that are not like clear. Like, I don't understand him as a character because he's like quirky, but also he has this like sinister dark side where he's like saying that he doesn't want to like kill people. And he did that in the first sketch as well.
But
So
no
he's like,
matter what, you cannot kill her.
and like, that's fine. But like, is he actually like a secret murderer? Like, that's the thing is like, I would feel like I could vibe with the character more if I knew that he would actually kill the person. But
John,
it's
all this development is going to be so worth it when he finally kills.
Totally. You may be joking, but I am 100% serious that if they did a third version of this sketch and he actually killed somebody, I would be like, like I would be totally cool with that. But it's the whole like him fighting with himself, to me, is emblematic of the writing of the character, which is that like he's just like saying things that are just like not fully formed, in my opinion. And like that's where I struggle with this. Sean, do you like, are you more with me or more with Andy on this?
Definitely against you, John.
Whoa.
I'm against John.
Sean calls
I'm with
me
you.
Andy. You don't call me Andy.
I'm with you, Andy. I'm with you, baby. You wrong, John. You don't know what you're talking about, man. Okay? It's very clear. This is the lighter side of a serial killer. That's what Garrett from Hinge is, and I love that. I love when you play with that. That's why it's at the end. That's why it was the last sketch of the night, right? Or it was
it was the last sketch of the night, yeah.
It was the last sketch of the night, right where it belongs. Second time. This is
Sean gets it.
Yeah. It's the lighter side of a murder. It's like what Pulp Fiction was to Hitmen, right? Like just the like some it's a funny, like, just like right before a guy who you couldn't imagine killing. You can see this guy with the way he wears his shoes, the sandals with the socks and the dad jeans and the stuff. This guy couldn't kill anybody if he wanted to. And maybe that's why he doesn't kill, because he couldn't successfully. It's very hard to kill a person. I watch a lot of true crime. Takes 4 minutes of no oxygen to strangle someone to death. Garrett from Hinge can't do that. I don't care how mad he gets. He's a guy that gets rejected often, right? That's the game. He gets rejected often, but he can't really do anything about it except try to confront these people. And then you start to love him. What a great character when you actually start to like a guy that's contemplating murder. To make me like this guy, to make me want to root for him and feel bad for him. And that turn was a little sudden, obviously. The turn wasn't the groom being with him because they do. Although, and he brought up a great point that the crowd sucked. I feel like that crowd sucked because J.A.J. didn't get a laugh at that Cleveland. He landed it so good, and then the little thing he did to play up the Cleveland Brown, that was such a great joke. And the crowd stunk. They didn't clap when they were supposed to. And maybe the monologue didn't get them riled up. I mean, who knows? But, they kind of sucked all night. I saw some stuff missing. Even I know we never really talk about the weekend update, but some of the stuff wasn't landing with them. And they were giving like weird oohs and stuff like that to Colin Jost and to Michael Che. So, that crowd stunk. I love Garrett from I'm sorry if you were in that crowd. I think somebody was on the network. Victoria might have been in the crowd that day because she sent a little thing to the group. But anybody in that crowd, don't ever go back to an SNL show. You stink. Great character. I'm glad that Garrett from Hinge came back. I hope he keeps coming back. I don't know where else you could put him. The first time it was a sexual thing that he interrupted. Now a marriage. Oh, I'm sorry, a wedding he interrupted. So I don't know where you put him again in this game. Where's the next place you put a guy that's been rejected? Maybe somebody's funeral, but I don't know where you put him.
But I feel like I'm the crazy one here because I don't understand. Like if I'm supposed to buy the fact that I know it's a silly comedy sketch, but if I'm supposed to buy the fact that Garrett from Hinge as a character is an actual killer, and all the things that happen to the point of him actually contemplating killing a person is the joking as a coping mechanism for his anxiety about it, then I wish they would have set that up better. Because at least like if it would have opened on a scene of him like planning to kill Chloe Trost as like his ex or whatever, and then he walks into the wedding, and then the whole thing is he gonna actually kill her or not? At least there's some tension in the scene that I can like start to buy into the jokes.
We've only got 5 minutes, Sean.
No, but that's not an excuse for for not a great sketch writing. I mean, I don't know. I don't think timing here is the problem, Haynes. If that's like the reason, then I would rather see something else in the episode that's like, stronger.
Maybe then the thing is like have him maybe not the next sketch, but somewhere down the line, like you said, about to kill somebody, and then you see how easy it is to disarm him or to defeat him, to beat him up, because I think it's clear just from his demeanor or who we like looking at him that this guy couldn't successfully to stab somebody. You know how hard the human skull is. First of all, the body is it takes 40 stabs to really. All
right, well, this is
and the knife
really
becomes
goes back to the
blood is the consistency of motor oil. I'm sure a lot of
okay, Sean, are you Garrett?
That's why you cut your hand. When you ever notice everybody cuts their hand when they stab. Because
I honestly I've never noticed that, and I'm fine not knowing anything else.
No, OJ had a cut on his hand, and that's why that was a big deal. People use a knife for murder. You always cut your hand because you can't hold the knife. The blood makes it slippery. This audience knows that. There's a lot of serial killers in your audience, John. You think people who listen to SNL stats don't?
That's not the name of this podcast anymore.
SNL Network. It used to be. I'm sorry. The Saturday Night Network. Huh? You think they're not killing on the other days? Sorry.
Listen. Yeah. We have very smart listeners, followers, watchers. Matt Thomas Taylor says in the comments, I think the uneven feeling of the Garrett character adds to the character. I agree. I think this is all part of the mystery. We're building something here. You just wait, John.
Okay. I'm waiting. KC. I see you, KC, in the comments as well. FBI coming for me. I knew it.
Yes, you will see Sarah Sherman knocking on your door at any point as an FBI agent coming to get you. We will see if we get the trilogy from Garrett from Hinge. I just hope that we get. I'm fine. I don't mind my SNL sketches being darker, even if it's at the end of the night. So, like, I just wish they would go all the way with it.
Easy to kill, John. Do you think you could kill? I know you can't kill.
No, I can't. I definitely can.
Have you thought about it? Who you thought about killing?
No, I've not. I'm a lover. But anyways, like if you enjoy the sketch, all power to you. Personally, like I love Bowen Yang, and like there's a lot of things I really love on the show that he's done this season, including that George Santos cold open, which is one of my favorite things from the entire season. This character just like isn't my favorite. Okay, let's talk about the sketch that I would like to talk about from tonight, and I was debating between a couple. I think I'm going to talk about the ET Awards season special, where, a few weeks back, when I think it must have been at the Globes, where we had this whole conversation that was happening online, where the camera happened to catch Selena Gomez walking over to Taylor Swift and Kaylee Teller to whisper something, and it looked like they were having some like really good gossip, and like everyone was like, oh, what do you think they're saying? And like everyone online at that point was a professional lip reader. So I do think that the creativity in this premise, which is that you're going to have Heidi and Ego as two, Entertainment Tonight hosts, and they're going to bring in professional lip readers to come on in and do lip reading for other scenes. This had a lot there. Like, I think that the writing on this, or at least the premise or the concept of the sketch, to me was pretty strong. So I was having more fun with this than I actually expected that I would. And I think, Bowen, who to me, this was probably my favorite Bowen sketch of the night, if I'm being honest. I think Bowen brought something out of Jacob Elordi that maybe we didn't see in other parts of the night, which was getting him to be a little bit sillier. Then he was wearing a wig. I think I saw that they put Bowen on like platform shoes, so they would be like at equal heights. That was fun. And then I think that the energy at the end of bringing out Reneé Rapp, I think was really good as well. So for me, this had a lot of things that I think on a second watch, I appreciated even more. So let me play you a couple lines from this one. So first up, we do get the Timothée Chalamet part, which was kind of silly.
Je joue Willy Wonka.
Oh, I love you, baby.
I love you too. Je joue Oompa Loompa.
See, again, like even you can hear in the lines that Jacob is saying here. To me, I felt like this was maybe our best Jacob moment of the night. And then even the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce stuff, which you knew that they had to do. This to me was so silly and stupid that this was fun.
It's autumn.
No, it's winter. It's crazy. We both work at football stadiums.
Like
that
low
line
bar
was pretty funny.
Yeah, low bar to cross here for Jacob Elordi, but I think he did something with what they gave him. And like I said, I think Reneé Rapp was really fun. The fact that they went to the Gwyneth Paltrow case.
Goop, 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 love you, baby.
Was good as well. So for me, this was an enjoyable sketch and one that I actually was better than I thought here. Sean, what did you think of this sketch?
Oh yeah, man. I really I enjoyed it. I didn't know the Globes thing about it, that background aspect, but I thought it was a fun sketch. I mean, in my space, I know you guys don't like sports. At least I'm sorry, I'm assuming Andy, but John, I know
we both love sports.
We both love sports. Have you ever watched this show?
Whoa! Wait,
what show you're on?
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute, my bad. Oh, okay, Andrew, Jonathan. All right, no,
we love sports.
No, okay. Well, there's a TikTok series of bad basketball lip reading where they kind of do something, and that's very funny because it kind of matches it. It's very hard because you have two consistent actors doing it as opposed to people that kind of are trying to sound like the person, which is what they have the advantage of on these TikToks and stuff. So same game, but I enjoyed the watching them play that game, and I agree with John. It was Elordi's best performance of the night. I love that they have the side game of the 100% of something, the bad fraction side game that he was playing with his in what he was in his responses. So I thought that he hit that one real hard. That was great, and I think that it was but it was pretty basic off the this. I didn't know that there was a thing like a zeitgeist thing about lip reading now, but that has to be a real profession. Is that not, because there's body language people? Is that not a real thing at all? Is there no professional lip readers, or did they create that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, this isn't so unrealistic. Like I have seen on news programs before for whether it's like not just necessarily for like watching like, an award show and seeing what people are saying at their tables, but I've seen like them be like bringing in a professional lip reader, whether it's like it's on a news program or something like that. I've seen this concept before happen in real life, and I have thought to myself before, like, this is so ridiculous. Now, would it have been an even funnier sketch if they covered more serious things beyond just like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, like walking into a building? I think they could have. Like, I think it would have been, instead of sticking with complete pop culture, and again, I know it's Entertainment Tonight that they're basing this premise around, if they went in a completely different direction with it, after a couple of them, they also said, okay, now we're going to ask you to lip read like a very serious thing that happened or something in a different genre. I think that maybe that there was more to gain here from the sketch. Haynes, I'm curious what you thought of it.
Well, Sean, I think lip readers are real, and like sometimes they use them in criminal investigations when there's video but like not audio. And they like try and figure out that kind of stuff too.
Is it admissible in court? Is it like a lie detector test that's not admissible in court?
I don't know it. Yeah, it could be like one of those things that just give them something to lean on, or follow the next clue. I don't know. You seem to watch more crime shows than me. But
maybe
I participate in the crimes.
Yeah. Listen, this was Jacob Elordi's best performance of the night. That's not enough to make it a good sketch for me. I just listen. The premise was okay. I just thought there's a million. I mean, I feel like you could write a much funnier version of this with the exact same premise and just I mean, no offense, but just way better jokes. And maybe you need time to do it. Maybe this was rushed or something. Or maybe they had great jokes that, the censors were snipping out last minute or something. I don't know. But to me, the premise was fine. And we did see a little bit of warmth from Jacob Elordi, which we didn't see the rest of the night. He was very aloof to me throughout the episode. But I just didn't get very many laughs out of it. And it's fun when the musical guest shows up in a sketch. But I'm not like, diehard Reneé Rapp fan, so it didn't just like make my heart flutter or anything. To me, it was just another sketch on a not great episode.
Yeah. I think Reneé Rapp, honestly, like I watched the sketch a couple times. I do feel like when she walks in, there's like an energy to the sketch that wasn't there prior. Like it was good, and I think it got much better. And honestly, like I would have rather the sketch continue longer with Reneé Rapp there, because I think she came in for like that one last joke and then they wrapped it up, no pun intended. And I think that if they had continued with her and gone on to more, I think there would have been more there. But yeah, I'm slim pickings in this episode, I think, ultimately. All right, well, let's go around and let's talk about anything else from the episode that we want to make sure we cover. So, Sean, any other notes that you had from any other sketches or any other moments of the night?
All the people, first of all, I love the Cat Williams sketch. All the people online hating because they reposted it on the Shade Room. For you guys who know what Phish is, Shade Room is a black Instagram page where they.
I know who Shannon Sharp. First of all, we both know who Shannon Sharp
is.
No,
not Shay. I'm talking about the Shade Room. They reposted the sketch. Oh, you don't know the Shade Room. I knew you didn't know the Shade Room.
Actually, I don't. You go. You go.
No, it's whatever you thought it was. It's not. It's just it's a bunch of black tea. Basically, like this person broke up, blah blah blah. So they reposted the Cat Williams sketch and was like, "Is this funny or nah?" And of course, a bunch of people, "Oh, that's not funny." Black people. There's a thing with SNL in the black community. But one of my friends who got the most is comedian. He got a lot of likes on his comment. Said something to the effect of, a bunch of influencers got to this first. Well, duh. The show airs when it airs. It airs on Saturday night. And it was done way better. Everybody who he might have tagged that did some version of this, I think what Devin's impression was amazing. He's growing on this guy. Is really good with the green. What's the guy? The other best. Since you guys want to love sport, Draymond Green was amazing. Shannon was really good. Look at you. You know what's up, John. And also, let me just say this before Andy gives his. I've known Punky Johnson for many years. Am I name dropping? Yes, I'm a name dropper. I know Michael Longfellow as well, really good. But I've known Punky when in that second to last sketch where she pulled them things out. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about Punky. I didn't know what was going on, man. Punky, holla at your boy, man. Golly. There was a lot going on in there, man. Woo, I'm a pig. I'm getting you canceled, John. But Punky is stacked.
Yeah, well, as you know, Sean, this is what she said.
I mean, how do we support? How do we best support you right now?
Yeah, I can support those. No, I'm sorry. All right. Lord have mercy. She can kick my ass.
Yeah, shut it down.
That was. I did see a lot of comments along those lines, Sean, afterwards.
Yeah. Well, let's do one at a time. So, Club Shay Shay. I did see Shannon Sharp, who I believe has Chad Ochocinco, former NFL player as well, on his podcast regularly. And I saw them talking about the SNL sketch, and they seem to be really appreciative of it, talking about the potential of Shannon Sharp hosting Saturday Night Live one day, which would be interesting. I do watch Shannon Sharp on First Take a lot. So, it was cool. This is really cool. Obviously, the Cat Williams interview was like so viral. And I think I'm seeing Demi in the chat bring up that the sketch itself, the Shay Shay sketch, already has like 1.5 million views. So obviously,
baby.
Yeah. So if our podcast can just get a small percentage of that, I mean, we're doing good.
Oh no, you don't want some of that Shade Room audience in here, man. Woof. Okay. Dark energy.
Yeah.
Haters.
Yeah, but I thought this was a fun pre-tape as well. Did you like this one, Haynes, the Club Shay Shay one?
It was one of the better ones of the night for sure. Yeah, for sure. Ego's impression was pretty funny. I mean, I did like it. It was not. Listen, I don't think it was like a great sketch. But on this night in particular, I mean, it was one of the few highlights, I think. Just with the context of everything. I'll tell you, Sean brought up Devin a few minutes ago. I think his Tim Scott is great. His Tim Scott
Oh
impression
yeah,
was great.
he's
Yeah.
killing it. That was oh man, wait a minute.
If anybody pays attention to politics, that is exactly what Tim Scott sounds like. And so that really worked for me. That whole Weekend Update piece.
Yeah, it does disappoint me that, Devin grasps this Tim Scott character, and then we don't have Tim Scott in the race anymore. So they use their one final card of hey, he endorses Trump, so let's bring him back out. But had we had months of them, going through all the different Republican nominees, we would have gotten some fun with a newer cast member with a really good impression. And I feel like we lost that now, and that kind of sucks. So, that's, I guess, them's the breaks. But yeah, so that was fun. You also mentioned that Punky Johnson clearly was the best part of that sketch that she was in, the women's AA meeting sketch. Yes, and her on Weekend Update as well. I thought she was fantastic on Weekend Update, playing the Deobra Redden impression as well. So just a really, really strong night for Punky. It just goes to show you, when they I say this in the best way possible. When they let Punky loose, she kills.
Let them loose.
That was so on purpose.
Let them things loose, baby. Oh, sorry, Lord. When do we become a misogynist podcast, guys?
This is what happens when Rebecca.
Is this Joe Rogan? Are we on Joe Rogan now? I'm sorry.
Okay. Haynes, anything else from the episode that you'd like to talk about?
Nah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like to. I love it. I'd like to talk about. I just very briefly. I just want to say about Crown Your Short King. This was the Bachelor sketch that we had, where basically Mikey and Chloe are out there as the host and the Bachelorettes. We get Bowen, Molly, and Marcelo as the three contestants with some extras as well. Jacob Elordi is the tall one who comes in and then instantly changes the mind of Tiffany, played by Chloe Fineman. And I do think that Chloe Fineman doesn't get enough credit for sketches like these, where she is, doesn't need to play a character, doesn't need to do something completely eccentric, but just plays a really good B-roll in a sketch. And maybe this was slightly more A-roll than B-roll, but here she just gets to be herself and then switch up her personality a little bit to match the scene. And to me, this sketch would have been really, really bad without Punky Johnson. Without Chloe Fineman in it. Let me play this line, which I thought was interesting and emblematic of what I'm talking about.
Oh, whoa! I caught him off.
That's awesome, Jackson.
And just that change, from what she was before, where she was just very calm, to her just laughing and giggling, I think was really strong. So again, sometimes we the 17 cast members to talk about, sometimes we don't always get to all of them. But when somebody does something that I think is really good, I do want to point it out. And I just think that Chloe Fineman had a really strong sketch there, even if the sketch itself wasn't so great.
Agree. I think it to me, it might have been the weakest sketch of the night, but Chloe, she I said she was very alive in that first character she played in the cold open. I mean, she was vivacious in this character too. She's just got a lot of spunk, and she's good at playing characters. Where there's an opportunity to pop a little bit. And anytime someone says that she's underrated, I'm with you on that.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the MVP voting for this week of Saturday Night Live. So I'll give you some of the stats of the week. We had Jacob Elordi, who was in 8 sketches. Will he make our top 5 voting for MVP? We'll let you know shortly. We also had an appearance from the original Regina George, Rachel McAdams, who was in 1 sketch and introduced Reneé Rapp for her second performance. Reneé Rapp also did 2 performances in 1 sketch. Megan Thee Stallion, former double duty SNL host and musical guest on the show, performed in the second performance. We had Bowen Yang, who led the night with 7 sketches. Heidi Gardner, 5 sketches and a voiceover. Ego and Chloe, both 5 sketches. Mikey, JAJ, Punky, and Sarah, 4 sketches. Keenan, 3 sketches and 1 voiceover. Another light night for Keenan. I'm interested to hear what Mike Murray is going to say about that on Wednesday nights, because I thought Keenan would come out swinging this week, and we got not a lot of Keenan in this episode. 3 sketches from Dismukes. Jost and Che were back at it to start the new year. Chloe Trost led the feature players with 4 sketches. Devin and Molly with 3. Marcelo and Michael Longfellow just with 2 sketches this week. So I would love to know from the two of you who you think the top 3 votes are for MVP this week. Sean.
Ooh, Bowen. Oh man, then I'll go. I guess I'll go Ego, maybe.
Okay.
Like that. And then Bowen, Ego, and then maybe JAJ or Reneé Rapp. Oh, JAJ.
All right, Bowen, Ego, and JAJ. Haynes, what do you think?
Bowen, Ego, and I'm really on the fence between Heidi and Punky. Oh gosh. You know what? I think I'll throw Punky in the 3rd spot.
Okay. Punky Johnson. That was also a very good choice, a good pivot there from you, Haynes, because Punky Johnson did lead the MVP voting this week with 22% of the vote. Sean, I think people were seeing some of the things you were seeing this week.
They saw what I was talking about, baby. Most valuable puppies. No, it's right.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Are we live? Can we strike that? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Great job, Punky. That's amazing.
Yeah. Punky Johnson, 28% of the vote. She was unleashed this week. And then in the number 2 spot, we had Reneé Rapp, musical guest, 17% of the vote. I'm really not surprised here. I just think Reneé Rapp was really strong musically, had a good moments in a sketch. So 17% from Reneé Rapp. Bowen Yang, as you both mentioned, 3rd spot here with 11%, led the night in terms of sketch appearances and had some strong moments. Devin Walker, 9% of the vote, had the Shannon Sharp moment and also, the On Weekend Update as well. And then Chloe Fineman, what I was talking about earlier, did a really good job in that sketch. Some of the people agreed and gave 6% to Chloe. So Haynes, any surprises here?
Not really. I mean, listen, Reneé Rapp's performances were cool. And she popped into a sketch. So I'm guessing just a lot of folks were excited to see her. This doesn't surprise me that's the most surprising thing is that Reneé Rapp is at number 2. But listen, sometimes you just have, a musical performance, that is just, just really good stuff. And sometimes we see that artists, pop up here in our MVP voting. So, definitely not hating on it. Yeah, looks good to me.
Yeah, it is very rare that we don't get the host in one of the top 5 voting for MVP. I think,
but that didn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't. It didn't surprise me either. But I think maybe the last time was Woody Harrelson. So it's like this doesn't surprise me at all. So there you go. Punky Johnson, Reneé Rapp, Bowen Yang, Devin Walker, and Chloe Fineman are top 5 voting season 49, episode 9. Okay, episode 10. Coming up next this weekend, where we're going to see some familiar faces make their return to the show. So let's first talk about Dakota Johnson. I'll give them both their due here. So Dakota Johnson's coming to host Saturday Night Live. Last time that she was on the show, obviously, 50 Shades of Grey was the movie that everyone was just talking about. And Dakota Johnson was, had some huge moments. Her mom, Melanie Griffith, previously hosted SNL a long time prior. So that was very cool. And we got that cool moment there. Dakota Johnson also appeared on the 40th anniversary of the show and had that spot and said that she's going to be the first host after the 40th. So we did get her on the show back on February 28th, 2015 in a pretty mediocre episode of Saturday Night Live. I don't think it was her fault at all, but there were some sketches that I don't think necessarily lived up to the potential of how funny she is. If you go and you ever watch Dakota Johnson on talk shows, she is really hilarious. So I am hoping that the writing will be up to par here to get Dakota to a place where we're all going to be very happy with her second time hosting the show. Haynes, are you excited to see Dakota Johnson back at the show?
Yeah, I mean, not like head over heels excited or anything, but I think, I'm looking forward to it. Expect it to be a solid performance. I do have faith in our writers. And I think we should be looking at a pretty solid episode. It would seem this is not exactly a hot take. It would seem almost impossible for Justin Timberlake not to show up in at least one or two sketches. I'm kind of banking on it. On at least two. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Then I'll go on. Then that's for now.
Okay, Sean. Thoughts on Dakota Johnson hosting?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with her interviews. But yeah, I saw her last episode, and yeah, I'm loving that she's excited about returning, and I don't know about redeeming herself, but yeah, having when people are game and they have the experience of the week and they know what's coming. You can expect for them to bring their A game and not be surprised or frazzled the way that Elordi might have been or first timers might be. So yeah, I'm excited to see what she brings to it.
Yes. And she's not going to be there alone. As Haynes said, she's going to be there with Justin Timberlake as the musical guest. And Justin Timberlake first came onto the show with NSYNC as a musical guest all the way back in the year 2000, I believe. And then hosted for the first time in 2003, would end up going on to host 5 times, a very notable 5-timer sketch, obviously, and it was the musical guest a couple other times, cameoed a bunch of times as well. He has a very long history with Saturday Night Live. And look, I know Justin Timberlake isn't everybody's cup of tea. I do remember prior to Justin Timberlake's first time hosting the show in 2003, when it was announced that Justin Timberlake was going to host the show, people were not excited at all. They were like, why is this guy going to host Saturday Night Live? He's like a teeny bopper and like doesn't have a comedic voice. And like, talk about Riz. Like, I mean, he has probably like some of the biggest charisma that's ever been on Studio 8H. Like, part of my love for SNL emanated from the sketches that Justin Timberlake did on the show. So I am so excited to have him back. I know he's not hosting, but at least if we do get him in a couple things, that would be very exciting for me. His era that he hosted in was big on Justin Timberlake recurring characters, Barry Gibb Talk Show, the different Ville sketches, obviously, his partnership with Andy Samberg producing the digital shorts, Dick in a Box, Mother Lover, 3-way. Even if we just get like a little bit of that for me, I would be excited, because I honestly thought we may never see him on the show again. Last time we really saw him in any way was opening up the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live with Jimmy Fallon, where they did that like amazing opening, rap song of everything that's happened in the history of the show. So for me, I could not be more thrilled. To me, like for anybody who grew up in the 70s watching Saturday Night Live, like this is my Steve Martin. For anybody in the 90s, like this is my Tom Hanks. Like this is the guy that when Justin Timberlake was hosting SNL, this was an event, and I could not be more excited to have him back at the show. So Haynes, are you excited?
I am excited. It is wild having him back as a musical guest and not hosting. I do think he is, one of the great SNL hosts of our generation. I know that he is, as someone who's been on this podcast since the very beginning, I know that he is your all-time, favorite host. And he will be awesome. I guarantee he's, I don't think one's enough. I think I'm going to say that he's in at least 2 sketches. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you already mentioned the guy's name. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Jimmy Fallon cameo popping in, just because it seems like they have kind of a thing. Works in the same building, so obvious friend of the show. And so if I had to put a prediction out there, I would say that we might even get a Jimmy Fallon cameo with Justin Timberlake, which would be really fun.
Absolutely. And JT is scheduled to be on The Tonight Show on Thursday night. Dakota Johnson's going to be on tonight. So if you wanted to catch either of those interviews, so we may get a little bit of a preview of what we will see this weekend from those 2 interviews. And obviously, JT's been on The Tonight Show a ton of times doing stuff with Jimmy. So it would be cool to have them back together. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. Sean, what are your feelings about Justin Timberlake returning to Saturday Night Live?
Listen to me, John. When JT gets on the show, it's going to be January 27th, 5 days short of the anniversary, the 20-year anniversary of February 1st, 2004, when Justin Timberlake had my favorite Super Bowl moment. He showed me my first TV titty. And so it's just almost 20 years short of that. Let me see if you really know your stats. What I want to see is JT somewhere around Pumpkin Johnson.
Oh no! Shut down. No,
I'm not even going to be seen during this part.
And I want,
yeah, no.
I want a 20. Come back, John. Come back. I want a reprise of his performance at that Super Bowl. That was down the street from me. I was in Miami. There was titty in the air. When he pulled that titty out, I was like, is that titty? I was watching on TV this big. And man, great team, man. Good to have you back. Yeah, and I'm excited.
Yeah, same. I mean, titty aside, I think there's a lot of good SNL moments.
You don't say titty very often, I can tell.
No, I think that was the first time I've ever said titty in the 350 episodes of this podcast. But yeah, obviously JT's been in the news a lot. Rebecca, I was talking to her prior to the podcast, and she was supposed to be on tonight. She did mention, and if she was here, she would naturally mention that there's a lot of internet uproar about JT appearing on Saturday Night Live, and that does come from probably a more general public, who he was in the news a lot from everything that came out from the Britney Spears book. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention the fact that there is some natural hesitation of celebrating Justin Timberlake at the time. But I'll just say, and with all respect to all those things that did happen, and taking them seriously, just in terms of Saturday Night Live and Justin Timberlake's appearances on Saturday Night Live, there's like nobody I could have been more excited to see come back to the show. So for me, I'm going to just try and savor this because it's been over 10 years and I'm happy to have him back on the show. So that's the anniversary of JT returning is more important to me than your anniversary that you're celebrating, Sean.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's my first team.
All right, but we're going to have a lot more to talk about that all throughout next week. We also will have one more show before that, and that will be By the Numbers on Wednesday nights with host Mike Murray, where he will reveal the screen time of the week and talk through everything that you want to know in terms of numbers. So maybe you didn't love the quality of the sketches this week, but from an analytics perspective, there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened to kick off 2024. So I hope you will check out By the Numbers. He has some great guests that will be on with him as well. And I did announce this on Saturday night, and I am happy to say that it looks like we're going to be going ahead with it. I am scheduled to interview Andrew Dismukes tomorrow on the podcast. So that will be a very fun time to get to talk to Andrew. Always love getting to chat with a current SNL cast member on the podcast. So we're definitely going to talk to him about some of his moments from the season, including Beep Beep and Lake Beach. Maybe we'll get to Remember Lizards as well. He's had some fun things on the show this season, so I'm excited to get his perspective on everything he's produced and some things he's looking forward to doing on the show for the rest of the season. So scheduled to interview him tomorrow. I'm going to try and get that out to you guys as soon as possible, so stay tuned to social media. If I'm able to get that out to you tomorrow night and everything goes well, we'll definitely notify you of that. So that should be a lot of fun. Loving Andrew Dismukes, and I know everybody in the chat is as well. So when I spoke to our friends over at NBC, I said the fans want to hear from Andrew, and they're coming through for us, hopefully. So looking forward to that. Yeah. All right, Sean Grant, thank you for joining us. Please tell the listeners where they could check out everything you got going on and anything you want to plug.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's what I come here for. Guys, follow me on Instagram and all the stuff, TikTok. If you're in El Paso, February 1st through the 4th, I'll be headlining the El Paso comic strip. Come through, we'll have a good time. And February 11th, I was telling John this, can't reveal too much. You might see me on your TV screen if you watch a little game called the Super Bowl. If you see me with somebody who's been on SNL as a musical guest, let me know about it. Get in my comments. And but I'm fully prepared for something bad to happen because it's Hollywood and my dreams don't come true. But I'm pretty sure you might see me February 11th during the Super Bowl game. And hopefully Taylor Swift will be there. And maybe Eminem. I want the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs to go so that they can Usher and Eminem and Taylor Swift can all be in the same building. So anyway, see you guys.
You
what
heard that right
from Sean.
Yeah, you heard that right. If the Chiefs moves on, you will see Sean Grant in the box with Taylor Swift. So look.
Yes, that's what I just promised.
Yes, for sure. Haynes, tell the listeners anything that you would like to tell them as we wrap up the show today.
Just glad to be back. Glad SNL's back. Just love being on with everyone. I've only got 8 or 9 days left in this dry January, thank God. And then we'll be back to normal life. SNL's back. Happy for a new year, and just glad to be back with everyone. Glad we had a great show.
Yeah, for sure. It was really fun to be with both of you tonight. And it's like I said, it's really fun sometimes when we don't get the greatest episodes of SNL to just like have some fun with the sketches and the moments of the night. Like that's what we're all here for. We can either celebrate or commiserate different moments of Saturday Night Live together. So appreciate all of you for being in the chat with us tonight. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify to never miss any show that we have going on. And you can also follow us on social media. Look up the SNL Network, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or X. All right. On behalf of Sean Grant and Andy Haynes, my name is Jon Schneider from the Saturday Night Network. We will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.